Hey everyone, it's Katie from Create Your Future. I am a law of attraction coach here, a certified life coach, and a meditation teacher. And today I have a success story for you, and a story all about how others are only echoing to us what we whisper to them in secret, or what our inner conversations are with them. So we'll start with the little success stories going on, and then I'm going to actually read to you from Neville from The Power of Awareness. One of my favorite stories that he talks about that really explains the power of inner conversations and how that is constantly pushing out your circumstances. So there's been multiple clients lately, and I'm going to be reading to you in future videos more in depth what their success stories were. But one case, someone got their neighbors to move out by doing inner conversation. Another one, after 10 years, a client of mine is now getting back her specific person from they were in a third-party situation for 10 years, and now they're coming back. She's getting the relationship she wants, so that's going to be a really cool success story coming up. Okay. And another one has been doing inner conversations with me for weeks now. We're actually probably months now at this point. And without lifting a finger, just by doing inner conversations, her boss actually requested that she reach out to him because the boss is going to be bringing her specific person back to work with her. Right? So in all these situations, just by doing inner conversations, all the different elements that need to play out in the 3D end up being played out, usually in ways that we don't always predict, can't always understand, right? But they do indeed get pushed out, okay? And what's so incredible about inner conversations is we're doing them anyway, right? We're doing them anyway, as he'll explain in the story. But when you just start to change them within and focus on your inner world, you don't have to lift a finger, because your inner world is what's constantly getting projected out. You don't have to do anything out here. This isn't about changing the external world through external action. The only action you have to do is within. You don't have to lift a finger, but you do have to lift your thoughts. You have to change your inner conversations. So I'm going to read to you this story from Neville Goddard to help paint this picture. And then stay tuned for, I'll talk about the meditation we're going to be doing, which is all about, casting a love spell, because it is October, the season of spells, if you're into that. But, technically we're casting spells all day long with our words, with our assumptions. We're always casting these spells, right? But it's up to us to cast the ones that we want to be pushed out through our imagination, through our inner conversations. So let's dive into the story, and I intend this is the reminder that you needed. Okay. One day, a costume designer described to me her difficulties in working with a prominent theatrical producer. She was convinced that he was unjustly criticized and rejected her best work, and that often he was deliberately rude and unfair to her. Upon hearing her story, I explained that if she found the other rude and unfair, it was a sure sign that she herself was wanting, and that it was not the producer, but herself that was in need of a new attitude. I told her that the power of this law of assumption and its practical application could be discovered only through experience, and that only by assuming that the situation was already what she desired it to be, could she prove that she could bring about the change desired. Her employer was merely bearing witness, telling her by his behavior what her concept of him was. I suggested that it was quite probable that she was carrying on conversations with him in her mind which were filled with criticism and recriminations. There was no doubt but that she was mentally arguing with the producer, for others only echo that which we whisper to them in secret. I asked her if it was not true that she talked to him mentally, and if so, what those conversations were like. She confessed that every morning on her way to the theater, she told him just what she thought of him in a way she never would have dared address him in person. The intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. Right, so the intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. She began to realize that all of us carry on mental conversations, but unfortunately on most occasions these conversations are argumentative. That we only to observe the passerby in the street to prove this assertion, that so many people are mentally engrossed in conversation and few appear to be happy about it. But the very intensity of their feeling must lead them quickly to the unpleasant incident they themselves have mentally created and therefore must now encounter. Right, so just to pause for a moment. I actually love doing this as well, just watching others when you're in public. Because everyone has their own mental conversation going on in their head. Everyone. It could be with their significant other. It could be with a spouse. It could be with a brother, sister-in-law. It could be with a coworker. Or just with themselves. Everyone's in these mental conversations. And you can start to just look and wonder and even see what are their conversations. Notice the little facial expressions. Everyone is doing this, right? Which is why I find inner conversations to be such a natural way to manifest. Because once we become aware of them, oh, I'm doing them too, we can change them, right? Okay. When she realized what she had been doing, she agreed to change her attitude and to live this law faithfully by assuming that her job was highly satisfactory and her relationship with the producer was a very happy one. To do this, she agreed that before going to sleep at night, on her way to work, and at other intervals during the day, she would imagine that he had congratulated her on her fine designs and that she in turn had thanked him for praise and kindness. So she hears what she wants to hear from her person and she responds. The 2 steps of inner conversations that I always really encourage everyone to do. Hear what you want to hear from them and then thank them. Reply as you would, right? We need 2 to agree on a thing for it to become so on earth, right? So she would imagine that he had congratulated her on her fine designs and that she in turn had thanked him for his praise and kindness. To her great delight, she soon discovered for herself that her own attitude was the cause of all that befell her, because it's only you. The behavior of her employer miraculously reversed itself. His attitude, echoing it as it had always done, that which she assumed, now reflected her changed concept of him. What she did was by the power of her imagination. Her persistent assumption influenced his behavior and determined his attitude toward her. With the passport of desire on the wings of a controlled imagination, she traveled into the future of her own predetermined experience. Thus, we see it as not facts, but that which we create in our imagination, which shapes our lives. For most of the conflicts of the day are due to the want of a little imagination to cast the beam out of our own eye, because we're just projecting this inner world out all the time. It is the exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. As this designer, by her controlled imagination, started the subtle change in her employer's mind, so can we, by the control of our own imagination and wisely directed feeling, solve our problems. I'll say that one more time. By the control of our own imagination and wisely directed feeling, solve our own problems. By the intensity of her imagination and feeling, the designer cast a kind of enchantment on her producer's mind and caused him to think that his generous praise originated within him. Often our most elaborate and original thoughts are determined by another. Now, to summarize the story by Neville and the Power of Awareness, so if you haven't read that, it's one of my favorites personally. It is these inner conversations that we're having with everyone, where we're imagining a scene, usually unconsciously. Usually we're just doing it by our own assumptions of how something's going to go, right? Depending on what our concept of the person is, we'll have these conversations with people that are really joyous, really loving, or, right, with our SP in a lot of situations, our specific person, we automatically assume they're going to reject us. We automatically assume they don't want to speak to us. They're with somebody else, right? They could do better. Now, none of those things are true, but as Neville says, there's not facts. It's just whatever your imagination is creating. So if that's what you are assuming, that will harden into a quote-unquote fact. That's what's going to get pushed out, right? But you have the power to change it. So shifting these inner conversations becomes our greatest work. With every thought we're thinking, with every inner conversation we're having, we want to ask ourselves, is this something I want to create? Is this the conversation I want to create? Is this the concept of me that I want to live into? Is this the concept of them I want to live into? Is this an invested thought or is it a wasted thought? Every little conversation, right, is having an impact on your subconscious mind. Because remember, your subconscious mind works in pictures. You're always visualizing. You are always visualizing this. Even if you're not consciously aware of it, it is always happening. Every little inner conversation you're having, your mind is picturing this person. And picturing the version of you that's upset, hurt, rejected. Unless we start to change that. And at first, it might not feel totally natural. Right? I know when I first started, or when I start with clients on these new conversations where someone, your specific person, is telling you that they love you, that they're always going to be there for you, that they think you're perfect, that they think you're beautiful, that they adore you. At first, it might not feel real. And right, Neville talks about the importance of feeling in these inner conversations. And so with that, it's just about perseverance. It's just about repetition, right? A conversation that you start today about being wanted and loved and adored and you thanking them in return might feel foreign and strange today, but by tomorrow, give it a try. By tomorrow, you'll start to notice a shift. This version of them starts to become more enlivened. They become more real. This version of you that knows how to receive this becomes stronger and stronger. I meet with clients weekly, and it's incredible what can happen in a week's time from practicing these new inner conversations. Normally what happens is we'll go through these inner conversations, these new ones, and they'll struggle. They're not sure what what their specific person would say to them. So I usually am helping, right? Kind of giving them ideas. By the next week, they could carry on conversation after conversation where I can just sit there and meditate with them as we listen to what their specific person wants to tell them. And their replies, which reflect their inner self-concept, their concept of, being able to receive this type of love and adoration, has completely shifted as well. And with all those little success stories I mentioned in the beginning, right? It was, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, that's okay, but over these periods of time, these clients were getting so good at hearing what they wanted to hear, at replying. Their trust in their inner specific person got so deep, so strong. Their trust in their own imagination gets so strong. When you start really relying and leaning into these new inner conversations, and not just with your specific person, but with family and friends and coworkers, and you start to see it getting pushed out everywhere, your confidence increases tenfold. I honestly think the hardest part of inner conversations is being willing to just try out things you've never heard before. Because maybe you've wanted to hear it your whole life and you haven't. Maybe only movies and books have reflected it to you. And so at first, there's that little voice right after you hear your inner specific person say, I love you. That's like, no, I don't. They're not here. But you just learn to change that over and over and over again. You hear your specific person, I am here. I do love you. This is working. Again, one of my favorite things I talk about a lot is I'll hear my inner specific person say, this is the real me. Your imagination creates reality. This is the real me. What you want wants you. What you love loves you. But you have to hear it so it can finally get pushed out. You are the one. You are the thinker of your world. You are the creator in your world. You're the only creator in your world. And it is up to you to birth it into being. So even if you're not seeing it all get pushed out yet, that's okay. Persist, persevere until your 3D reality conforms. So let's do a little bit of inner conversation to help you with this. And then I highly recommend that you come to this upcoming meditation that, as I said, it's all about casting a love spell on your person. But really what we're doing is we're focusing on the version of your person that is already in love with you. We're seeing them in the finest light where they love you, where they adore you, where they cherish you. Because that version of them exists, but it's up to you to visualize that, to hear what those inner conversations, to allow the mind to be illumined with it. And once it becomes dominant within the mind, it has to get pushed out. Right? And if you don't know that, meditation is one of the best ways to do that, because you go into this theta-like state. You go into a state where we're so just in tune with the subconscious mind, which is doing all this in the first place. But what's so incredible about meditation is we're taking our conscious mind, we're taking our subconscious mind, and we're merging them together, right? because we need them to work together to create conscious manifestations. We need the conscious mind to be active, right? So if you haven't been to my meditations before, we do these inner conversations in the meditation, right? So yes, it's peaceful, it's beautiful, you're relaxed, your subconscious is, the tides are high, as Neville calls it, but you're still in control. The conscious mind is still interacting with your subconscious mind, where you are now creating these inner conversations in a very relaxed state. So it is so potent, because we need the conscious mind and the subconscious mind to be working together to consciously manifest. So definitely come to that, or try the pre-recorded ones that I have on mine too, right? But let's just do some inner conversations to bring this to wherever you want to go. So let's do it around our specific person. And we'll just do some really simple ones that I personally love to repeat throughout the day. So I want you to imagine that your specific person is the version of them that's with you right now. They're inside of you. They're alive inside of you. The whole world is alive inside of you. But we're with the version of our specific person that loves us, that cherishes us, that adores us, that is madly in love with us. I want you to imagine them as half your body. So one side of your face is their face. One side of your chest is their chest. One side of your belly is their belly. One side of your leg, arm, all that is them. I want you to imagine breathing with them. And focus on the version of them that, again, is just so madly in love with you right here, right now. And you can say this out loud, or you just hear it within. Hear them tell you, I am so deeply in love with you. I do want what you want. I want it just as much, if not more. Everything you desire in our relationship, to live together, to be married, to have children, to be harmoniously happy, whatever it is that you desire, I want that too. This is the real version of me. I'm always with you. You're my priority. You're my one and everything. You're the first thing I think of when I wake up. You're what I meditate on throughout the day. You're my favorite thing to come home to. You are everything to me. I feel so blessed, so lucky, so in love to be with you. And I'm so thankful you brought in this version of me. Now go to the other side of your body, go to you, the version of you that can receive this, that trusts this, that knows that this version of them is true and waiting for you, that knows that you are molding the clay right now. This will get pushed out. And just respond with a simple feeling statement of, I feel so thankful that this is who you really are. I feel so cherished. I feel so adored. I love how you tell me how much you love me every day. I love how you show me every day. I love that you're always in communication with me. I love that you're always putting me first. This is the best relationship of my life. I have never felt so happy. I feel so adored. Thank you for helping me feel so secure, so in love, so blessed. I'm so thankful that this is getting pushed out. And I'm so thankful that I can access you at any time, morning, noon, and night. And just breathe into that and add any other conversation you want to hear from them right now. Just ask yourself, what do I need to hear from this person right now? And hear them say it within. You can say it out loud, that all works too. And then reply. And then you want to repeat these conversations, morning, noon, and night. Go to your end desire. If you're married, talk about being married. If you're living together, talk about living together. If you're in a committed, loving, happy relationship, talk about that. Start that conversation today, and then tomorrow repeat it. And just notice how it gets better and better and better. And then, of course, it'll get pushed out. If you want more help with this, come to our live meditation on Wednesday, or check out the pre-recorded ones. If you want more help with inner conversation, check out my inner conversations course. If you want to really master the inner world and master your meditations, I suggest doing the 7-day challenge. If you really want to improve your self-concept and feel really secure and strong, I would do my course on upgrading your self-concept. If you want to get past third parties or any type of rejection, come to my revision workshops. There's so many online from pre-recorded ones or come live where we all share our experiences. And if, of course, you want to do a one-on-one with me, check out the link below and sign up to do a one-on-one session together. All right, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.